What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, September 24th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on odds.com. The odds headquarters coming off a great Wednesday, 6-1 plus 4.86 units. Swept NBA and NHL and 4-1 in MLB. And we are celebrating by bringing Nolly right back onto the show. Nolly Knows will now be on Betting with the Bag Wednesday and Thursday. So he's back in action. And what happens when you go 6-1? You put some money in your bank. You wake up pumped up. You wake up feeling sharp. And you demand more winners. And you feel good. And I want that to keep going. Shout out to all the cappers rolling with us this morning. We got a gorgeous card, man. We have 12 MLB games. Then we go into Game 4, Nuggets, Lakers. But just before that, with Nolly Knows, we are going to talk about UAB, South Alabama. So we're going to talk NCAA football. Then we're going to go into Game 4, Nuggets, Lakers. And then we're going to go into the Thursday night football game. I've got looks on all of them. And the first quarter under yesterday was an easy casher. The first half under would have cashed too, and the full game went over. So it was really well put together. The Lightning was a very easy win for us. Stamkos came back for 2.5 minutes, scored a highlight reel goal, and then is now injured. What a story. What a story these playoffs have been. What a story Stamkos has been. But shout out to everybody joining us. Let's have another big winning day today. We got Buzz Nuts ready to go. Xavier Oliver, Mitch Bruner, Dennis Garcia. You know, Dennis, when I see Tyler Hero going off, I think of you. You've been bang on with him. And bang on with your Miami Heat moneyline bets. Congratulations. Great capping. Brandon Lugo ready to go. Tyrone Coleman, Hustle Wilson doing just that. Hustle it. Dean Eden, Steve Dunn. We got Slats 45 ready to get to work as well. Says hit Lightning and point goal prop last night, but got hammered by Jays. 0-3 in bets. Yanks 4 errors. Their worst game all year. Yeah, it was, shout out to Gin Rummy, who jumped on the Jays at that huge plus price. Great stuff from Gin Rummy. That was tricky. Tanaka is every time he faces the Jays, I never know what to do with him. Never know what to do with him. Jamal ready to go. Jamal ready to eat. Talk sports with JT says, "What up, Jimmy? Let's get this money." Only Hunter, Junior Louie, Ick Schnizzle, Ohio's finest, Mr. Wisdom. I love it. 302 Bossish says Heat Celtics under was so easy. Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, in all honesty, I wasn't very comfortable until about 90 seconds left in the first quarter, but I really felt like we capped that game well. And if I wasn't on that, I had been on a bit of a losing streak in NBA. If I wasn't on that, I would have jumped on the Heat with you guys. But whatever, we'll take that winning unit. We'll get more today. Von Polo, good night last night. I love it. Drunken Boxing MMA. And and Von Polo about to tweet out about the show. Thank you. Thank you for all the help that you guys do helping promoting the show. It means a lot to me, so thank you for caring about that. MMA champ, the GOAT, Michael Ervelina says, think Lakers smash tonight. It does feel like the script is written for the Nuggets to be down 3-1. It does feel that way. Xavier Oliver says, Cubs suck. Very strange game for the Cubbies. It looked like that over was going to hit easily. And then, pitcher shut everything down. TJ, one for the money. And Slat saying Tanaka is not cool. There's Sabino Anguiano, ready to get to work. Tony Hill. Johnny K. Mayfer. MMA Locker Room. All right, let's get to work and let's bring in our MLB expert who's had back-to-back big days. Love having him on the show. Please welcome to the show, Nolly Knows in the house. Nolly, how are you, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Jimmy? It's always a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you having me right back and see if we can continue to have some success here in the MLB as it closes out. And shout out to everybody in the chat, man.
Yeah, and why don't we start off by you speaking a little bit about how you feel that this is a nice time for a capper who's making unders great again?
Well, yeah, I think right now is definitely the under season here. You look at some of these teams that aren't playing for much, that aren't hitting, and then even teams that are playing for a whole lot aren't hitting either. I listened to a couple guys from the Reds, and they're talking about how they're finally playing meaningful games and how they're feeling nerves when they go up to the plate First time they felt nerves in a long time. So you're playing a little bit tighter. You get a little bit worse results, but these pitchers are coming to pitch. And I'm seeing a lot of unders. We talked specifically here about the Cubs. I took that over yesterday. But a big oversight on my part was their inability to score runs lately. All I saw was Trevor Williams and fade. But I didn't see these Cubs bats and how cold they were. I just tried to overlook it, and that was a mistake on my part. Some of these bats are really cold, especially on the Pirates as well. So something we got to look at going forward. And especially when we're talking about postseason games, you might have a quicker hook, go to the bullpen and call on your big studs to get stuff done.
Absolutely. This is a nice time of year for you, especially when the weather gets cooler, which we won't see for a little while. It's going to be nice weather for the next couple of days. All right, let's get into this Cubs-Pirates because that's the first game on our card, and let's see what we are dealing with from a money line and total perspective. And I've locked in nothing. So going to be capping everything with you guys. And it wasn't that – I guess the spots that were screaming at me were either juiced to a point that I didn't want, and coming off a big winning day, I really want to stay sharp. And if that means quantity goes down a little bit, then quantity goes down a little bit. Let's get to work. We're going to start Cubbies, Pirates, Alec Mills versus Chad Kuhl. This total initially was juiced to the under 9. It's now juiced to the over 9. Just a slight 10-cent move towards the over. Cubbies opened up at minus 192. They were minus 192 last night at Bet365. They're now minus 210. 73 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 5 miles per hour out to left field. Alec Mills, 5-4, 4.14 ERA, 1.07 whip, 58 2/3, 44 Ks, 18 walks, 10 home runs allowed. And that doesn't really tell the story. He started okay, and then he went through a rough few starts where he was getting touched. And then he came alive with the no-hitter 2 starts ago. And he continued that with 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, but gave up 4 runs and 6 hits in an 8-1 loss just this past week. And he and David Ross said his stuff was very good. I believe it was against the Twinkies. The Twinkies just went off on him. Chicago also without Chris Bryant. He left Monday's game with oblique tightness, has not returned to the lineup. Let's talk about this Pirates team against righties. 202, 585 OPS, worst in the majors. But the Cubs don't hit righties that hard. 231, 731 OPS. Cubs bullpen has been improving all year long since a bad start. 4.13 ERA, 1.29 whip. Pirates bullpen, 4.60 ERA, 1.40 whip. They were turning it around and then went back to their old ways. What has been working for the Pirates, they've won 2 straight. That's after losing 13 and 15, is their starting pitching has been very strong, and Kuhl has been part of it. He gave up 1 earned run or fewer in 6 of his 9 outings. On Friday, 5 hits, 4 runs, just 1 earned run, 6 Ks, 2 walks, and 5 innings against the Cardinals. But he's got bad career numbers, 1.66.75 ERA in 11 career games. Against the Cubs, we got an afternoon spot here. Nolly Knows, Cubs, Pirates.
This spot is very interesting. When you look at it, you see the number going up a little bit. It's somewhat confusing to me because I talked about it just briefly. Pirates and Cubs are flat out not hitting right now. That's the big thing that I see right now. Less than 2 runs a game for over the last 20 games for the Pirates. And same thing for the Cubs, just over 2 runs a game over the last 10 games. And just that big inability to not hit. And when you look at Alex Mills, what he's been able to do here in September, 2.77 ERA this month, has looked a lot better. And the big reason he's been able to command his fastball a lot more, through the no-hitter. And I like what I've seen out of him, especially what he did here against Pittsburgh already once. And now on the other side, you got Chad Kuhl. Chad Kuhl has actually looked really, really good. They haven't allowed him to go too deep here into the games. But he struck out 6, walked out only 1, gave up 5 singles in 5 innings last time out. He's allowed more than 3 earned runs only once in 10 outings. This is a matchup that, I mean, he's not the highest pitching, he's not the biggest pitchers on the mound, but I like where they're at and being the last start of the season. I like how they're pitching, and I like how these bats are dead cold. I'm going to try to attack the first 5 under here with these cold bats here. First 5 under 5.
This makes a ton of sense. The first 5 under 5 makes a ton of sense here. You have a Cubs lineup that's not hitting righties, and you take Chris Bryant out of it. You have a Pirates lineup that's worse than the league against righties. You have Kuhl throwing well. Why do you think this full game total has gone from the under juiced to the over juiced?
I mean, what I'm expecting is maybe some bullpens to come in a little bit early. Hopefully not as early as that San Diego game yesterday, but maybe that'll be a concern for here. But there's no way that I'm going to trust these two teams to get to 10 runs when they haven't been able to score.
But you're only going to focus on the first 5.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on the first 5. I just have more success here. I've been going back and forth, and I'm just trying to stick to the first 5s.
It makes perfect sense to me. This under 5 right now. There are a couple books with the over 5 juiced, but most have moved to the under 5 juiced, and I am in. And Mr. Gokes are going no run first inning in Pitt, Chicago. So let's get this in here. First 5, we're on the board. First 5, under 5 in Cubbies, Pirates. Elliot V says Cubs not losing 3 straight to the Pirates. Yeah, the Pirates feel good about themselves for the first time all year. And I hear you. It felt like the whole chat was winning yesterday. It was a very good day for all of us. And shout out to our Nutflush Allen as well. He gave us that Giants team total over 5.5, and that was plus 115 I could have got, which I didn't bet, sadly. But what a call, Nutflush Allen. With some big plus line calls. Gin on the Jays at plus 210 or whatever it is. Great work by the chat. We are on the board. Cubs, Pirates, first 5, under 5. And Gin Rummy preferring the full game under 9. Red Girl joining us. Viper says, thanks for the lightning, Jimmy. Easy winner. It was very easy. It felt like NBA and NHL was just very easy last night. And it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling when that happens. Thank you, Dutch Boy Fresh. It's just, but we need more. We need more winning. All right, let's move on to Rockies Giants. That is next up on the card. Nolly, we're going full game. Nolly Knows now on our show Wednesdays and Thursdays. Chichi Gonzalez versus Kevin Gausman. Giants opened up at minus 220 at bet 365. They're now minus 235. I mean, when you look at the situations these two teams are in and how they're playing, you think the Giants are a shoe-in. And Gausman's pitching better, but I still can't take the Giants at this price. This total is at 9. It's now slightly juiced to the under at some books. It's a pick 'em at bet 365. 66 Fahrenheit at Oracle, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour, out to straightaway center. Chichi, 0-2, 7.53 ERA, 1.53 whip, 14 and third, 12 Ks, 8 walks. Not look good in a small sample size. Gausman has looked good. 3-3, 3.76 ERA, 1.08 whip, 68 Ks and 52 and 2/3. Rockies poor against righties. 245, 696 OPS. Giants versus righties, 266, 774 OPS. Rockies bullpen is almost at the Philadelphia Phillies numbers. 6.98 ERA, 1.69 whip. Awful. Giants bullpen been good all year. Steady, 4.18 ERA, 1.30 whip. Giants are in a tie, basically a virtual tie with Cardinals and Reds in the NL wildcard race. Brandon Belt and Alex Dickerson are raking right now. Raking. And Dickerson 4 for 5 in lifetime against Chichi. He's just going to keep rolling. Gonzalez faced the Giants 4 times in his career. 0-2, 5.40 ERA. Last out, 5 innings at home against the Dodgers. 4 hits. Oh, no, sorry. I have that wrong here. But 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks. Gausman has had back-to-back quality starts. He's looked very good. 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 6 Ks in his last start. And Gausman is a Colorado native. I don't think that matters much. But Kevin Pillar, 13 for 36 against Gausman. Take it away, Nolly, Rockies, Giants.
Yeah, I look at this game right away. I look at Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman is putting together a decent season, specifically here in the month of September. 2.12 ERA looks really good. Getting a lot of ground balls to mix up with this K to walk ratio. 20 strikeouts, just 7 walks, over 17 innings. He's looked really good, and mixed in with that was a Colorado team where he went 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. So it's a team that's really sputtered, really going downhill. Really ashamed to see, especially how high they started start in the beginning of the season, and now they're going to rely on Chichi Gonzalez, who had the longest outing of his 2020 stint here. 5 innings, four hits against the Dodgers. But other than that, he hasn't really gone too deep into games. And big reason why you see such a high ERA here in the month of September. In just 7 innings pitched, he's given up 8 earned runs, good for a 9.82 ERA. A guy that I really don't trust. He saw these Giants twice already this year, and they were able to get to him. And it looks like the Colorado staff doesn't want him to see this Giants team twice around. That's a big thing that I see. But here in this price range, that's very difficult to take. Am I going to say that the Rockies are live here? There's no way that I'm going to say the Rockies are live. I'm looking Giants all the way here, but just tough to take at this price. So I'm just laying off here.
Yeah, you can't the Rockies can't be backed. They can't be backed. And I guess you could use the Giants as maybe a parlay piece. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get here on the -1 very quickly. I don't know. I think the Giants are just going to keep rolling against this team that's just given up. -240 on the money line now and -120. I'm not going to take it because I knew the number was going to be better than last night than it was today. But if you're curious about the -1, it's at -186. Let's see what Nutbush is saying. Nutbush says, I'm looking at possibly a run line bet, waiting on a little roster info because a few rumors on the lineup. I'm waiting. We'll send it on Twitter if I can't lock it in before the show ends. There we go. Robert Cherry joining us from a vacation in the mountains, ready to cap these games. Mr. Gokster on Giants score first. That's not a bad look. -110. Giants score first. It's not a bad look. You know, Gausman's been so good lately. SF score first. I think I might be tailing Gokster here. I'm just going to leave that as a note. Just going to leave that as a note here, but I think that might be a great look, Mr. Gokster. All right, let's move on to Mets Nationals. 72 Fahrenheit, overcast, 5 miles per hour, out to right center. Let's see what we're dealing with. Peterson, Corbin. Mets open up as a favorite. Interesting. And now it is a pick'em. So a 10-cent move towards the Nats and Corbin. This total was juiced to the under by 5 cents and is now a pick'em. And Corbin has not been good of late. He's not been good all year, I guess you could say. 4.76 ERA, 1.53 whip. Not the Patrick Corbin that we're used to. And David Peterson, a first-round pick in 2017, whom we didn't believe in, is starting to pitch nice. Overall, 3.80 ERA, 1.29 whip, 36 Ks and 42 2/3. Mets hit lefties hard. Nats hit lefties harder. Mets 255, 770. Nats 293, 865. Both bullpens are susceptible. Nats won 3 of 4 against the Phillies, but were crushed 12-3 yesterday. Corbin coming off a bad start. 14 hits, career high 14 hits to go with 7 runs, 6 innings on the road against the Marlins. 4-5, 4.28 ERA in 16 career games against the Mets. And Peterson last start was very good. 6 innings strong. Gave up 3 hits, 1 run, and 10 strikeouts, 4 walks against the Braves, who are absolutely raking. So it's even better than it looks, better than it sounds, because it's against the Braves. Mets, Nationals, Nolly, do you agree with this slight market move towards the Nats? And do you trust Corbin?
I mean, I'm somewhat – I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Patrick Corbin is a guy that I do like a lot, but this year has been a lot different. You listen to some of his quotes of what he's talking about. He doesn't even get it himself. His command is just not there. You look at his manager, said that's very uncharacteristic start that he had last time out. Gave up a lot of walks and leaving this fastball up in the zone, getting hit hard. Here, I do expect a solid start here, though. This is a guy that still has the stuff to be a solid starter, and here in his last time out, going against the Mets, who he has faced already and had some success here earlier in the season, especially going in back-to-back starts and still be able to shut them down. I thought that says a lot. But here with David Peterson on the other side of the mound, I thought he looked really good his last time out. Like you said, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, just 1 earned run. and 10 strikeouts. But one thing I didn't like was the 4 walks. That's something that you've seen that was trouble with him going against Philadelphia as well. Gave up 4 walks in that game as well. Got lit up, only went 2 innings, 5 runs. So that's one concern when you talk about these youngsters, if they lose command and how they're able to respond with the runners on. And that's something that we haven't seen too much of with him. That's still we're going to have to see. But I expect a solid start from him. I think he did well against, like you said, was able to shut down these Atlanta Braves who've been on fire, especially since Albies has been back in the lineup, averaging like 7.8 runs a game in that span. And here I expect him to continue what he's been able to do. And here I'm leaning towards the first 5 under here, a play that I haven't pulled the trigger on. Washington is playing a little bit better as of late, but got shut down yesterday against these Phillies. And the Mets disappointing season, to say the least, for the New York Mets. So I don't see their bats doing too much here against Corbin. I expect Corbin to have a nice game here. So I'm leaning towards the first 5 under, but I'm off the game right now.
What's your take on Patrick Corbin? I guess it's the last time we'll see him this year.
I mean, it's tough to say, man. I like the guy. I think he's much better than his numbers would indicate. He's not a 4.76 type of guy. He is significantly better, but maybe the age is finally creeping up with him. Maybe, the velocity is still there. Everything still looks – his pitching still looks the same. Hasn't been able to get the results, and that's the main reason I'm not trusting this play here. It's really Patrick Corbin. And then so I try to lean towards the Mets, but Patrick Corbin could put it together. So it's the reason I'm just going to stay off this game.
Yeah, I agree. I guess Corbin could put it together for his last start of the year. And Peterson, I mean, the Phillies and Braves are really tough lineups. So, if you're going to walk a Freddie Freeman or the way Ozuna's hitting, if you're going to walk these guys, I mean, I don't hate on you for it. I was impressed with his last start. But both these teams smash lefties, and you don't want to take the over in case Corbin comes to play. All righty. Mets Nationals is a pass. Let's move on to White Sox Indians. Man, is the Central Division going to be so much fun? There's a couple spots in MLB that make me wish that we had a 162 game season. That one of them, and they're both in the AL. What's going on in the Central is, I mean, God, I want 162 games of it. And then watching Madden get the Angels together, it would have been nice to see what could have happened. And at least he saved him his job. So those are 2 spots that I sort of wish we would get to see the longer season. All right, White Sox Indians, 73 Fahrenheit clear, 3 miles per hour in. Keuchel, Plesac, another beauty matchup of pitchers. Plesac and the Indians opened up at minus 115. They are now minus 140. 25-cent move towards the Indians. This total was originally juiced to the over 7.5. It is now juiced to the under 7.5. Keuchel 6-2, 2.04 ERA, 1.10 WHIP, 39 Ks and 57 in the third. Can't get the K when he needs it, but still gets soft contact. Only 2 home runs allowed in 57 in the third. Zach Plesac 4-2, 1.85 ERA, 0.78 WHIP, 50 Ks, 4 walks. Very impressive. White Sox versus righties, 258, 756 OPS. They hit lefties harder. Indians versus lefties, poor, 227, 679 OPS. Both bullpens lights out. Indians have now beaten the White Sox 3 straight. They're 2 games back of them, 2.5 games back of the Twins. The Indians are coming. The White Sox have lost 4 straight, 5 of 6 and 6 of 8. In that 6 of 8 losing run, they've scored just 23 runs. And Luis Robert, 0 for 28. Some of these young studs who came out of the gate rolling are going to be fortunate that it's a 60-game season, because we've seen it year after year after year. That 162-game season is just wears you down. Keuchel faced the Indians this season. Oh, sorry, hasn't faced the Indians this season. 4-1 with a 2.79 ERA, 8 appearances, 7 starts. Last out, Keuchel went 4 innings against the Reds, 0 earned runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 7 Ks. I don't know, Nolly, and I'd love to hear your take on it, if they're just trying to protect him, or that he's walking too many batters, or the pitch count is getting too high too early, because he's not allowed to run in his last 3 starts. But he's only made it through 14 innings in those 3 starts. And then Plesac 1-0 in 2 starts against Chicago. Hasn't allowed a run. 18 this season. 18 strikeouts in 14 innings. And 1-2 with a 2.42 ERA, 4 career starts. Coming off a beauty start, a beautiful bounce back start for Plesac in Detroit. 7 2/3, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 11 Ks. What are you doing here, White Sox, Indians? And great call on the first 5 under 3.5 yesterday.
Yeah, we were able to get that one yesterday. Two great pitchers on the mound, and here we got 2 great ones going again. And like you mentioned with Dallas Keuchel, he didn't go too deep in his last start, but let's remember he did spend 12 days on the IL, so they didn't want him to go too deep on his first time back. But he looked very impressive, going only 4 hits, 7 Ks, 3 walks, and 4 innings pitched. A guy that's looked really good this year. Got an ERA, a 2.04 with a 1.1 WHIP. Guy looks really good, and is a guy that can get out of trouble. I mentioned it with Peterson with the Mets. That's something that I haven't seen, but with Keuchel, I've got a lot of information with him, and with runners in scoring position, he gets even better. So it's a guy that I like to back often, and a guy that looks really good. And this is a playoff type game. You talk about in the division here, the White Sox only have a 2-game lead with 4 games left, so possibility for the Indians to creep up into that second place spot and push these White Sox to the wild card, especially the way these White Sox have been playing. They're really sputtering. They've lost 6 of 8, like you said, only scoring 23 runs. And Luis Robert, he's 0-28, but even worse, he's 6-70 in the month of September. Just god awful right now. They seem to have figured out there's a hole in his swing. It's something he's got to adjust. You know, this is a game of adjustments, pitch to pitch. Adjustments have to be made, and he hasn't been able to do it, and he's suffering for it. Here on the other side, Zach Plesac for the Indians, who's looked really, really good, especially in his last time out. This is a guy that has gone at least 6 innings pitched in every single one of his starts. A guy, to me, when I watch him, has seemed to have perfected the little short arm action. It's really, really short and really deceptive to these batters. The guy looks phenomenal here in the month of September with a 2.28 ERA. So here in this playoff atmosphere, I'm going to keep attacking what I like to do, and that's going to be the first 5 under. I was able to grab a 4 early this morning, but even at 3.5, I'll still take that. And even with the lean under 7.5 full game as well.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And good read on the Keuchel situation coming off the IR. So you got the 4. Great work getting the 4. But you still endorse it at 3.5. There is actually, it's still 4s. There's still 4s. Only a couple books have moved it to 3.5. Be curious to see what mine is doing here. First 5 is at 4 here, under 4 at -115. This is the exact spot that will hurt me not betting it right now. It's under 4. The first 5 under 4 at under 4 -115. I don't want to say guarantee, but I know when I go to bet this will be 3.5 at -115. Attaboy, Christian Rivas, nice hit there, my man. And do you have a lean on the side? Do you understand this big market move towards the Indians?
I mean, I can understand the way these Indians are rolling right now. They're playing really loose. They got Sandy Alomar over there as the coach. I don't know if you got Tito that's been on the sideline, and the team seems to gravitate to him. This is a lot of Latinos on that team, and they play really loose, specifically because of Jose Ramirez, a guy that looks out there to have a blast on the field, and the guy's just been lights out. To me, they've got the better bullpen. They've been hitting a lot better, but still not scoring a lot of runs. I can see why to fade these White Sox right now. They're ice cold in these bats, so I get the line movement. But to me, it's just tough. I like Dallas Keuchel a lot. I expect him to shut them down. It's like a postseason game here, so I just like the under better.
I'd get in on the first 5 under 4 -115. I predict it won't be available in an hour and a half. Alrighty. We are off and rolling. Let's keep going. Let's move off the first 5s. Let's get back to the full game action here. Next up on the card is Yankees Blue Jays. 68 Fahrenheit in Buffalo, partly cloudy, 10 miles per hour, sideways. Montgomery against Ryu. Its total opened up at 10. It's now dropped to 9.5. The Jays open up at minus 115, and it is now a pick'em. Montgomery 2-2, 5.12 ERA, 1.32 WHIP. Ryu 3 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, 68 Ks in 60 innings. Yankees don't hit lefties hard. The Jays hit lefties harder than the Yankees, which is quite a bit harder. Jays 266, 767 OPS versus lefties. Yankees just 229, 734 OPS versus lefties. Bullpens are now the same. Jays bullpens being awful in the last month, and they're now just weak bullpens in the bottom third of the league. Yankees 4.78 ERA, 1.36 WHIP. Blue Jays 4.64 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. So I see the fact that this is a pick'em as two things going on. One, it's Ryu, who has bad numbers in 3 career starts against the Yankees. And he allows 5 runs in 5 innings against the Yankees on September 7th. I feel like I can put a line through that. Its sample size is too small. So I guess what I'm saying is, how do we not take the Blue Jays here? Montgomery allowed 2 runs in 3 1/3 against Toronto on September 7th at Buffalo. He's got good numbers against the Jays overall, 2-0, 2.78 ERA. Last out, he looked okay at Boston, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. I doubled up on Ryu's last start in Philadelphia on Saturday, and it cost me. Lost both bets. It was 1-0 Jays going in the bottom 5th. Jays only got 2 hits in that game, but Ryu looked good, and I don't understand how this could be a pick'em, Nolly. Take it away, Yankees Jays.
I mean, I can understand line movement when you look at the basic numbers here, the numbers versus each other, and Montgomery's actually looked really good here against Toronto. The one thing that I did see yesterday with the Yankees giving up those 4 errors and inability to produce runs, they had bases loaded, no outs, and they had multiple chances to score, and they just really couldn't do it. I expected them to score more runs yesterday, and the 4 errors is what really stands out to me. When the team does that, they come out and try to play the next day, try to prove that wasn't that's not who they are. They really lost in all facets of the game yesterday, some that's uncharacteristic of these New York Yankees. Now they got to face a tough lefty in Ryu, who I like. I'm a big fan of him. But here, this is a big spot for these Blue Jays. They need to win to get in. And the Yankees are somewhat still battling for their home field advantage, but I don't know if they're looking to chase it down. This is a tough spot for me. This is a spot that I keep going back and forth. I understand your points, and especially the way that the Blue Jays were able to take control of that game yesterday and win it. This is really tough spot for me. I'm just off of this game.
Well, is the first 5 going to offer me the same minus 110 that the full game is? Let's just check out that right now. 110 on the full game. If we cut it down to a first 5, it's minus 115. Wow. Ginrami got the Yanks at plus 118. Nice job there. I'm going to take the Jays first 5. I'm going to, as you would say, isolate the starting pitching advantage, which I believe I have, even though Ryu has bad numbers against the Yankees. The sample size is just too small. And Tony Mang, Bright Ware Bright Ware saying Yankees not losing today. I hear you. They're a better baseball team than the Jays. But on any given day, and with our ace on the mound, all righty. Earl DFS going for the genius look. Toronto first 5 Yankees full game, which would be wild, tough to get. Mitch Bruin says playoff-like game. I'm on the Jays first 5. And you are staying off this, Nolly?
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay off this game. I keep flip-flopping back and forth, and I like the way Montgomery's looked against these Rays. I expect him to have a solid outing. The question mark would be Ryu. He hasn't faced his Yankees. He only faced them once last year, so I can understand the small sample size, what you're saying, and how well he's pitching. I can understand what you're saying, but just not a game I want to be a part of. You see the runs that are scored in that stadium, so I'm just off.
All righty. And Tori Coker wanting just to hear what we're at thus far. Thus far, Nolly Knows is on the first 5 under 5 in Cubs Pirates, and I have joined him on that look. I agree with that look. Rockies Giants, I'm going to go with Mr. Gokster on this. With Arenado not in the lineup, I'm going to make a move with Mr. Gokster. I'm going to tail our man, Mr. Gokster, Belleville's finest, on San Francisco to score first. San Francisco to score first. So just need Gausman, who's been pitching so well, to get through that first inning. And then Mets Nationals, we are off. And then White Sox Indians, first 5 under 4. Another look of Nolly Knows that I'm going to jump on. And then I'm alone on this Blue Jays. Not alone because there's guys in the chat on it, but Nolly's not rolling with me on the Blue Jays first 5. But I like it. I like it. Okay, let's keep rolling. And Ty Clinton saying, are the Pirates a live dog? Yeah, I think they are with Chris Bryant out of the lineup and the Cubbies not hitting. But I'm not going to put my money on black and yellow. All right, let's move on to Marlins Braves. What can stop? And Noli already alluded to this run that the Braves are on since Ozzie Albies has been back in the lineup. 14 games and 7.8 runs a game. What could possibly stop this Braves offense? One thing, rain. And there's rain throughout the day in Atlanta. And the wind's blowing in, 68 Fahrenheit rain, 10 miles per hour in. Because it's not going to be Pablo Lopez, who's not a bad pitcher, but when you get him out of Miami, he looks a little more susceptible. Pablo Lopez, 5-4, 3.96 ERA, 1.22 whip, going up against Ian Anderson, who's been very good, and our low bagger, Dean Williams, who's studying abroad, going to university in the UK right now, was Ian Anderson's catcher growing up. Shout out to Dean Williams, my man. 3-1, 2.36 ERA, 1.05 whip. Marlins first righties, 236, 680 OPS. No power against them. Don't hit them hard. Braves first righties, very hard. 278, 869 OPS. Marlins bullpen has been bad. Imagine what this team could be with a bullpen. 5.43 ERA, 1.53 whip. Braves bullpen, very, very good. Atlanta's won the first 3 games of the series. They just keep on rolling. Anderson coming off his first loss. It was Saturday against the Mets. 3 runs in 4 2/3. September 7th against Miami, he left after 3 innings and a high pitch count, 2 runs, 1 earned, and was not involved in the decision. Marlins still have a magic number of 3. So Philadelphia won on Wednesday. Miami trying to get to this postseason for the first time since 2003. They've lost 4 straight. And in his last start, Lopez, 5 1/3 against Washington, 2 runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, 7 Ks. And he was beaten by the Braves, destroyed by the Braves on September 9th. 7 runs in 1 2/3. He's 1-4 with a 5.05 ERA. I don't know if this game goes off right now. And Robert Cherry says Marlins is the play of the day. Do you believe me, Jimmy? I don't even know if this game goes off. Why don't you take it away, Noli? Marlins, Braves.
Yeah, interesting spot here. You said Ian Anderson on the side for the Braves, and he's looked really good this year. 2.36 ERA, a prospect, I believe number 7 for them, and he's looked really good. And they needed it. They got a lot of guys, a lot of injuries, and to still have the type of record they have shows how deep this roster is. This Atlanta Braves team that you got to watch out for has a lot of experience in the postseason already. I believe 2 years ago they were too early, and they continue to show how good they can be. They got 2 guys, potential MVPs over there, and Freeman and Ozuna. And you got Albies back in the lineup in 14 games, hitting 400. They're producing a lot of runs, and they're scoring at will pretty much. And here they go against Pablo Lopez, who you said home road splits have been the big issue for him. You see what he's able to do against the Atlanta Braves the first time out at home. He goes 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 0 walks. On the flip side, when he goes to Atlanta, he can't get out of the second inning, goes 1 2/3, 4 hits, 7 earned runs, just 2 strikeouts to 4 walks. So it's been his big issue is pitching outside of Miami. But one thing that they did in his last 2 starts is they changed the catcher for him, and they said it's been a big difference for him. But here in his last start, I do expect guys to pitch a little bit better. But there's no way that I'm going to be trusting Pablo Lopez on the road. And you mentioned it here with the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. Second place is something that neither one of them seems to want. Both teams really losing 4 of the last 5. And they got They need 3 games to clinch, and 4 games are left. It's a tough spot for them to be in. I believe they eventually pull it off, but Phillies are right there on their heel. This is a tough game for me to try to back, because of the way I'm looking is try to take the Braves, but not at this price. That's the tough thing. I see the numbers going towards the Marlins big time. I got to see what kind of lineup the Braves are going to pull out. They're really not going to move positions here late in the season. That might be a concern as the lineup, but no way I'm trusting Pablo Lopez here, so I'm just going to stay off the game.
And this total has dropped from 9.5 to 9. Now 8.5 are on the board. With the rain in the forecast, this is just a stay off spot. Robert Cherry thinks these Marlins are a real live dog. And, I would never talk you off a big dog in a rainy situation where the favorite has nothing to play for. So I think there's a few things to like about your look there. Boston Nick joining us. Great to see you, my man. But the rain makes me uncomfortable. I'm going to stay. This is a stay off spot for me, even though the Braves were an easy -1 yesterday. So this is stay off for you, Nolly?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay off this game. I can see what they're saying about the Marlins, and I also agree with the line movement going down. Those are typical things that I like to see. A little bit of rain, a little bit of wind coming in, nice muggy day. The bats seem to go cold, but if there's too much rain and some of these starters have to sit out, I don't want to deal with the unknown. So yeah, I'm just gonna stay off this game.
Yeah, this is stay off. Levi Kressler with a Braves ticket for the World Series says he loves more and more each night. They put up huge runs. Just wish they had pitching, more pitching. Do you think? Let's ask you this, Nolly. Do the Braves have enough pitching to take it all the way to a World Series championship?
I mean, it's tough when you look at some of their starting pitching, but they've got Fried, one of the best pitchers in the major leagues. He did get touched up a little bit, dealing with a little bit of injury as well, so that is a concern. They can't afford to lose him. But one thing that I do see is that they've got a great bullpen. They've got 4 or 5 guys that can really deal. That's some that they've addressed big time. So they're trying, but ultimately I think their starting pitching is what's going to cost them here.
Yeah, their offense looks spectacular, but you match them up against the Dodgers, and what we see come October is that the best starting pitching can neutralize the bats. Maybe not fully, but in saying all that, you probably got a nice juicy number. It's still 9-1 right now if you want it, and when you have an offense like that, you're going to be alive all the time, and I'm sure you're going to have a real fun playoffs watching your Braves in business. All right. And Jimmy Gomez says, hate to say it, but Rays lined up best to win the World Series. I don't know if I don't see how anybody could say that they're in a better spot than the Dodgers. I know that it's best not to be cheering on a favorite, but if you look, what do you think, Noah?
I think the Dodgers are going to have a tougher road to get there. That's the bigger difference. I think when you look at the AL, the top dogs they're good. Don't get me wrong, but top to bottom, I think the NL looks a lot better this year, and they're going to have a tough road to go through. You're going to have to face the Cincinnati Reds. You're going to have to face, if they get in there, you're going to have to face the San Diego Padres just to try to make it to the NL pennant.
Yeah, the Padres are going to be very tough, very tough. And we always see a team come through the wild card very, very dangerous. And Levi Kressler says finishing as the 2 seed in the NL helps the Braves. They avoid the Dodgers, Padres until the league championship. Bang on. Joaquin Jordan, great to see you. All right, let's move on to Orioles, Red Sox. My lone loss on yesterday's card was the under here, and Cramey did me dirty. But Eovaldi looking very, very good, and it was too bad. Eovaldi throwing out donuts, and they can't get that first 5 under. 73 Fahrenheit, overcast, 6 miles per hour, out 2 straight, away center in Baltimore, Boston. Cobb and Martin Perez. Perez and the Red Sox opened up at -140. They're now -150. This total was opened up juice to the over 9.5. It's now moved to under 9.5. Cobb 1 and 5, 4.76 ERA, 1.37 WHIP, 45 and a third, 34 K, 16 walks, 8 homers. Martin Perez 3 and 4, 3.88 ERA, 1.26 WHIP. He's been much better this year than I expected them to be, and it's cost me. Orioles versus lefties, 236, 702 OPS. Red Sox versus righties, 265, 788 OPS. Orioles bullpen, still strong, 4.01 ERA, 1.29 whip. Red Sox bullpen, still atrocious, 5.79 ERA, 1.63 whip. But Red Sox going for their first 4-game winning streak of the season. They've won their last 2 games by a combined 17-4 score. Perez looked very good in his last outing, 6 scoreless, and no decision against the Yankees on Friday. That was a lefty going up against the Yankees on Friday. And we've got Ryu going up against the Yankees today. And the more I talk about it, the more I think the Jays' first 5 might be my favorite look on the card. And that's because I think the Jays' first 5 is going to be my favorite look on the card. Perez, 4-5, 4.77 ERA, and 11 in the career starts against the O's. O's have lost 12 of 15. Cobb, winless, Nate starts since he beat the Red Sox on the opening day. Gave up 2 runs, 6 hits over 5. He's got good numbers against Red Sox in his career, 8-6, 3.73 ERA. Vasquez hits him hard, really hard, 11 for 16. JD Martinez hits him hard, 11 for 22. And Cobb looked very good last out against the Rays. And I know he played for the Rays, so he maybe had a little extra emotion, but 4 hits over 6 innings and 2 runs. Are the Orioles a live dog here? I think they are, but I'm afraid to bet against Perez. He's just had my number. Take it away.
I think you said it right there. Martin Perez has looked really good, and especially here against Baltimore. He throws 7 innings, 5 hits, just 1 earned run. That does come back in August 22nd. He's looked really good as of late. Put together probably 4 or 5 quality starts that I'm really impressed with. He's looked really good this year, like you said, a bit of a surprise. And you're talking about a Baltimore team that hasn't been able to produce very many runs the last few games, especially with the last 20 games, under 2 runs per game in those 20 games. A team that bats that I really don't want to be backing right now. When you look at both these teams, are really not playing for much. But it doesn't look like it when you look at this Boston lineup and the way they've been able to produce runs, specifically the last 3 games. A lineup that has been able to produce throughout the season. The big thing has been their pitching, and here they're going to get it here with Martin Perez. On the other side, you got Cobb. Like you said, you flashed it there, 2-0 against these Red Sox. Has looked good in his 2 starts against them. A guy that can get hit a little bit, but against Boston, 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and then 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned run, but only 1 strikeout and 1 walk. And that's a big thing that I see. This Boston lineup is on fire, and they seem to want to try to finish the season strong. I'm leaning towards the Boston here, the Boston Red Sox on the first 5, but it's just hard to lay that juice here with this team. But that's the way I'm looking. But 2 bottom feeders, I don't want any part of it.
The Orioles earlier in the year were smashing lefties, and they've completely gone ice cold against lefties. They're just not hitting them at all. This Red Sox team hits righties hard. If we can get anything out of Cobb, which isn't a ridiculous idea, maybe we go right back to the well. There are 5.5s on the board. Let's see what I'm getting right now. What do you think of this first 5 under?
Yeah, I agree with it. It's just my recency bias is I'm really pissed off about the game yesterday. That's kind of the way I'm feeling, I guess. But yeah, I like it. The 2 pitchers have been successful against these 2 ball clubs, but one concern would be the Boston bats, whether or not they would continue to hit. But there's nothing on the Baltimore side that's going to tell me that they're going to have some type of offensive explosion today. They haven't been able to hit pretty much all season. So I definitely agree with it. I like the way these 2 pitchers are faced against their opponents. So I would agree, Jimmy.
Yeah, I guess Robbie Patel says, Martin Perez is done overachieving today. That's a good way of putting it. The Orioles, I can completely understand why you like the Red Sox first 5. I mean, this Orioles team just stopped hitting lefties. It's minus 150. But if you go down to the first 5 minus a half, it's down to minus 120. And we have an Orioles team that's just not sorry, I keep saying that over and over again, but this Orioles team earlier in the year was smashing them. Their OPS has dropped all the way down to 702. All right, I'm going to we got Gabe Killian in the house joining us. I'm going to make a move here on 2 moves. I'm going to take Red Sox first 5 -0.5. And I'm also going to take this first 5 under 5.5. And Nolly, you're going to stay off?
Yeah. I'm leaning towards that first 5 under with you, Jimmy. I think I'm going to take that one.
Okay. Robbie says I was about pressed last 2 innings, but now it's a -150 favorite. Absolutely not. It's just this Orioles team is, losing on their way out. Losing. I'm going to make moves. Great to see Ski Profit, Red Girl also rolling with us in the chat. We're going to get to NBA shortly. But next up, Tigers, Royals, and I've done a lot wrong in baseball this year, but my read on Bubic has been nice, and he's rewarded me. Now has a 3.97 ERA, 1.39 WHIP. The issue is the Tigers versus lefties are so strong. 318 average, 880 OPS against lefties. And Fulmer, even though he's limited to 3 innings at a time, has looked much better as well. Let's talk Tigers, Royals. Royals 12-14 at home. Tigers 10-17 on the road. 75 Fahrenheit clear, 7 miles per hour, out to left center. Bubic, this first 5 is at 5.5. Sorry, let me just move back to full game and see what we are dealing with. Bubic and the Royals opened up at -145. They're now -175, a 30-cent move towards them. This total at 9.5 was a pick 'em at opening at Bet365. It is now juiced to the under. And Detroit hits lefties so hard. Fulmer is pitching better. Royals are just 241, 706 OPS versus righties. Royals bullpen much, much better than the Tigers bullpen. Last out, Bubic gave up 1 unearned run over 5 1/3 against Milwaukee, and Milwaukee smashes lefties. He's just pitching well. 1.99 ERA in his past 4 starts. And Fulmer had his first good 3-inning start of the year. No runs, 1 hit, 3 innings against Cleveland. And he said it just took a little getting used to because everything's changed after Tommy John, and it just took a little getting used to. I'd be very interested to hear what you say about this spot. Tigers, Royals, Nolly, take it away.
You got Michael Fulmer, like you said, coming off the Tommy John surgery has been a big concern here. They haven't wanted to let him go too deep into games, hasn't pitched more than 3 innings in any one of his starts. And what I hear in his interviews, he's already talking about next season, how much better it's going to be next season. So he's obviously doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel his velocity, doesn't feel the great command, the great spin on the ball like he typically does. He says he's starting to feel it, and he's seen it in his last start. Even the manager alluded to it. He said it's the best start he's had. He really had some zip on the ball, and the biggest thing was the command. But only still 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, but did only give up 1 hit. And here going against this Kansas City Royals, who were a great underdog pick yesterday, but here with this big price with Bubic, it's just very difficult to lay that kind of price. A guy is just 1-6. Coming into this game, but is much better than that with a 3.97 ERA, and especially specifically in his last few starts. He's put together a good run of 4 starts, going at least 5 innings in each one of those, hasn't given up more than 2 runs, and his K-to-walk ratio looking a little bit better command, what I see here. But there's no way that I'm going to be laying this type of price with Chris Bubic. I understand the price. When you look at Detroit, in the month of September, they are 6-16. Completely going downhill, a team that's, I guess, technically still in it, but not really. This is a tough game for me to try to predict. Playing the big price with the Royals, not something I'm interested in, and I think that's the only side to look at.
I agree. Jin Rummy says Tigers first 5 plus 146 is worthy enough for me. I agree. And so a very, very important point was made by Eric Jones when I talked about how the Brewers are hitting lefties. Eric Jones says Brew Crew ain't hitting, though. That's a good point. I look at this spot, and all I see is value on the Tigers. Can you talk me down from this ledge?
I don't like what I've seen out of the Tigers lately, especially when we talk about their bullpen. The bullpen's been giving it up as of late. But you look at, there's been a big inability to score runs, and that's that's something that I'm not trusting here. And I like Bubik. I like the way he's pitching. And a lot of these youngsters, when they get on a roll, they continue it through the end of the season. This is last start of the season, trying to make a big impact going for 2021. I like Bubik here. I like the spot for him. On the other side, I mean, Fulmer, like you say, he's already talking 2021. He's already looking past this. Not necessarily looking past the game, but you can see that he's ready for the season to be over. Whereas Bubik is riding the high note. The guy's feeling high on himself, feeling really good about where he's at. So to me, I just can't back a bad team.
Huh. I Tigers plus 145 seems like a spot. Antoine Seymour making moves over there. Czar says perfect breakdown for your answer there, Noli. Antoine Seymour making moves there with the Lakers and the under and Seattle Storm. I can't wait to talk about. We're almost done this baseball card, so let's just stay. I'm just going to try to stay as focused as possible here. And Czar says Tigers have no manager. He quit. They're done. The Garden hire quitting like that just took me by surprise because he'd just been so. What I thought was so calm throughout all these losing streaks and all year last year of this team, and he'd been so calm and cool, and then he said he couldn't handle the stress. And I slightly disagree about Fulmer. I think it's very important for him to end the year strong because he's been so bad this year. So that's the only thing. I love your call on Bubic. I love Bubic, and I guess in the end this will be a stay off. But I was very close to pulling the trigger on the Tigers first 5, and Al Max says he quit because of COVID. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so it's a stay off for you, Noli?
Yeah, it's a stay off. I mean, that'd be the only way I guess you could try to catch a little plus money with these two bad teams right now. But yeah, just there's better games out there for me.
All righty. Let's move on to Astros, Rangers, Christian Javier versus Lance Lynn. The Bulldog, Lance Lynn. Javier and the Astros open up at minus 130. They're now minus 125. This total was originally juiced to the under, and now it's juiced to the over. Watching the Astros hit this year, it just makes the whole sign-stealing thing, it just makes it so much worse. Because these Astros aren't hitting righties. They're not hitting lefties. They're not hitting anybody. Javier, 4-2, 3.33 ERA, 0.99 whip. Lance Lynn, 6-2, 2.53 ERA, 0.96 whip. 84 Ks and 78 and a third. Astros 247, 15 OPS versus righties. Rangers bad, 208, 630 OPS versus righties. Astros bullpen being bad all year. Rangers bullpen also bad. 4.24 ERA for the Astros bullpen, but their whip is the same as teams with, the same as the Mariners of a 6 ERA. Rangers bullpen 4.71 ERA, 1.4 whip. Astros magic number for second in the West is still at 2. They lose to the Mariners 3-2 last night. They have scored more than 3 runs 4 times over the last 16 games. It's just crazy. Javier allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 walk with 6 Ks over 4 innings, 3-2 win over the Diamondbacks on Saturday. He limited the Rangers to 1 run, 2 hits, and 2 walks, 3 Ks over 6 2/3 on September 2nd at Minute Maid. Lynn, 7 innings in each of his last 3 starts. It looked like there was a little bump in the road, but he got over it. He's 2-0, 2.14 ERA, 21 Ks. Batters are hitting 189 against him in his last 3 starts. But the Astros got to him September 3rd. That was the only time he's really been touched hard. Astros, Rangers, Noli, take it away.
I look at this game right away. I look at Lance Lynn, a guy that I really like, especially what he was able to do early in the season. You look what the ERA he was able to have in his first two months, really phenomenal. And then recently he's able to get touched up a little bit. Like you said, 600 runs against Houston, gave it up really early in that game, got into trouble with some of the walks he gave up, and he gave up a couple home runs. That's a big concern here with Lance Lynn going against this Houston team again. On the other side, Christian Javier, who's looked really good. He got a 2.55 ERA in the month of September. A guy that I really like, a guy that I backed quite often here from the beginning of the year. But here in this spot, it's kind of tough. you got two teams that haven't been able to hit. You look at what you're saying about the Houston Astros, one of the biggest drops in run differential in the history of the MLB from last year to this year. A team that's really struggled to hit the ball at a consistent rate, but nonetheless still in contention to make this playoff still. So still a team that can pitch and still a team that has a decent bullpen. Here in this spot, initially I was looking at the first 5 under, and I'm not sure if I want to pull the trigger, but I think ultimately I might. Just not sure. There's a couple of things I guess I got to look a little deeper, but I expect Lance Lynn to pitch a lot better. I know that's in the back of his mind what happened last time out against this ball club. Last time out for him, and a lot of question marks whether or not he'll be dealt in the offseason. So I'm surprised that they didn't, because they look at the horrible season that they had. So maybe the fact that they haven't moved him yet, they won't. But I expect Lance Lynn to have a good start here. And the same thing for Christian Javier against his Texas bats, who disappeared even more, if that's even possible. But I'm looking at a first 5 under, but just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Viper MB did pull the trigger on the first 5 under 4.5. Kobe says take Lynn every time you can get him as a dog. I guess I want to spend a little more time on this game. I'm expecting the roof to be closed, even though it's only 80 Fahrenheit. The roof's just been closed every game. So I'm just expecting the roof to be closed, even though it's probably a nice night for them to have it open. Gabe Killian says, Lynn for the win, baby. Bet it and get it. Blitz W says, what's Lynn's strikeout prop? I'm not sure if it's up. I'll check out right now. Now, first 5, I'm not getting a dog price on Lynn. Slight, minus 105, but I always consider a dog I have to see a plus beside it, and I still kind of feel it as a pick 'em. Nolly, hearing the Vipers on it, hearing the cappers in the chat talk about it, are you going to make a move on this under 4.5?
Oh, man. Putting the pressure on me, huh, Jimmy? Okay.
You don't, I don't want to put you into something.
The
strikeouts prop quickly here. Lance Lynn strikeouts is at 6.5, and it's heavily juiced to the under. Minus 160 to the under. And Javier's strikeout props are 4.5, minus 150 to the over. Take it away, Nolly.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth, Jimmy. I was looking to try to grab a 5 here. I guess that's just trying to be a little stingy on my part, I guess. But yeah, I think I'm just going to lay off this game right now.
And what would be your biggest concern that's keeping you from hitting the button?
My biggest concern is really Lance Lynn. The way he was able to get hit last time, it seemed to me that they were on him. Whatever scouting report or whatever it was, they were on his pitches really often. Like you said, but I still expect him to have a good start, so I guess I'm contradicting myself a bit. But ultimately, I don't know. I'm going to limit my action here today a little bit.
Ravi Patel says Rangers all day. I guess the issue is that Javier is being good. I mean, he lets a lot of home runs, but the Rangers don't have big bats. Oh, they have one big bat in their lineup. I mean, is Christian Javier is the reason why you don't want Rangers first 5 because of how Houston got to him in the last start. That makes sense. And because Houston got to him that way in his last start, it keeps you off the under 4.5. And that all makes sense.
Yeah, because instead of giving up just 2 runs, let's say he gives up 3 and then Javier gives up 2. Those not bad starts. Those are not bad outings, but it pushes us over. So can I see 5 in the first 5? I can. And just I don't know. I didn't. And then you look at the Texas side, I can understand backing Lynn with plus money, but I don't understand backing these Texas bats. You know, that price, if it was just this pitcher going to be better than that pitcher all day, but we got to incorporate those bats. We got to take that into consideration. And those are bats that I'm not trying to back.
All righty, let's move on and past that. We got 2 more games left on the card, both very, very, very interesting. Then we're going to talk UAB, South Alabama. Then game 4 of Lakers Nuggets. And then we're going to close the show on Thursday Night Football. Brewers, Cardinals, 71 Fahrenheit clear, 5 miles per hour in. Nice pitching matchup. Corbin Burns versus Kwang Yun Kim. Let's see what we are dealing with here. Burns and the Brew Crew open up at minus 125. They're now minus 145. A 20-cent move towards them. This total at 7.5 has been sitting slightly juiced to the under all day. Slightly juiced to the under all day. Okay, let's talk about it here. Brewers versus lefties, 245, 790 OPS. Cardinals versus righties, poor, 234, 691 OPS. Before, you could say that the Cardinals were hitting lefties hard, and that sort of balanced things out. But they're not hitting lefties hard anymore. They're not hitting anybody anymore. Brewers bullpen, 4.12 ERA, 1.22 whip, very strong. Cardinals bullpen right there with them, 4.22 ERA, 1.27 whip. Cardinals and Reds tied for the NL Central, and the Brewers are one game back of them. Oh, sorry, that's tied for second in the NL Central. Obviously, the Cubs are first. And the Brewers are one game back of them, tied with the Phillies for the second NL wildcard spot. Brewers just lost 2 of 3 to the Reds. Cardinals lost 2 of 3 to the Royals. Last Saturday was Burns' last start. He got the win, 4 hits, 6 shutout innings, 5-0 win over Kansas City. Struck out 9, did not walk a batter. He looks so good. In his one start against the Cardinals this year, he allowed 1 run over 4 2/3. He does have bad numbers, 6.19 ERA in 6 career appearances, but he's a different pitcher this year. Ryan Braun sat out yesterday. It's unclear if he's going to be back in the lineup. And then Kim, 7 scoreless in his only career start against the Brewers, but his most recent start against the Cardinals, 4 runs and 5 1/3. Interesting spot here. Burns, Kim, take it away, Nolly.
Yeah, this game pops out at me right away. On the side, you got Corbin Burns. Got a Cy Young candidate battling Trevor Bauer for the NL Cy Young this year. And the big thing, like you said, he's a different pitcher this year. Worked on his variation of pitching a lot. His relied on his off speed and mixing it up a lot better. Working on his spin rate. Everybody talked about his curveball, how had a pitch that he didn't really like to use a lot, but had a high spin rate. So they've encouraged him to use it, and it's been successful. Just been able to mix it up a little bit, keep batters off guard. And like you said, coming off a great start, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs. He's got an ERA of 0.38 in the month of September. Has only given up 1 earned run in 23 2/3 innings this month. The guy's been lights out. The guy's been really turning it on. A guy I really like to back a lot. And going against a Cardinal team who he recently faced, 4 2/3, 5 hits, just 1 earned run, but was able to strike out 10 guys and walk 3. On the other side, you got a guy in KK. That's a guy coming out of the Korean KBO league. A guy that looked really good over there. And they try to use him out of the bullpen, try to use him as a closer to start the year. And he got lit up in his first time. And they brought him back as a starter, and he's been really good as of late. In the month of September, in 3 starts, has a 2.08 ERA. Did get hit hard against the Pirates, who typically hit lefties pretty well, so not really a big cause for concern here. His command was still there. He had a lot of ground balls in that game. A guy that I really like, and I expect him to have a good start here against Milwaukee once again. This is a playoff type atmosphere type of game, being that they're still battling for that second spot. Cardinals still have quite a bit of games to still play in this last week. So they're going to need a good start here from their young starter here, and I expect him to pitch well. I expect KK to pitch well, and I expect Burns to pitch well. Playoff atmosphere, so you know what I'm taking. I'm taking the first 5 under.
First 5 under, and both bullpens are strong. What's keeping you off full game?
Just kind of like the angle that I go for. But honestly, I didn't see Williams go yesterday, and I didn't see Hader go yesterday, so I can understand the full game, and I do like the full game. I just like the starting pitching.
Yeah, the starting pitching is strong. And the Brewers don't hit lefties nearly as hard without Braun in the lineup. And you're getting 4. It's a nice spot. All right, I'm in. First 5 under 4. Going to roll with Nolly Knows on that. All right, let's move on to A's Dodgers. 81 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour, out to right. Czar saying, great breakdown, Nolly Knows. Viper saying, like the first 5 under 2, will tail. And Bled says, Nolly likes his money early, Jimmy. He does. Talk sports with JT's liking St. Louis full game here. And this, let me just quickly move back. Are you surprised at all that the Brewers, sorry, I know we're about to move on, but are you surprised that the Brewers are this big of a favorite?
A bit so. I understand there's a lot of hype with Burns right now, so it's not a surprise that the money's going that way. But KK is no slouch. The guy can pitch really well, and it's a Cardinal team that likes to battle. But two pretty evenly matched teams here. I expected more of a coin flip, so I think it's a little bit too juiced to Milwaukee. So value on the Cardinals, but not enough for me.
Okay. I agree with I like the spot for JT. You're getting a nice plus play. And the Czar says the under is a better play. And Prince of the City says, what's worse, watching baseball or listening to it? Listen, Prince, one more game, and then we'll move on. A's, Dodgers, 81 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour out to right. A's 34-21, 13 games over 500, but just a game over 500 on the road going up against these Dodgers. We pushed on the first 5, under 5. Yesterday, I still thought it was, still watching it, I was like, it's the right bet, but pushed. And those of you who backed the A's, congratulations, great work. 81 Fahrenheit clear, 6 miles per hour out to right. A's versus righties, 227, 724 OPS. Dodgers versus righties, 268, 40 OPS. And we have the return of Walker Buehler going up against Fiers. And Nolly had such a great call on Fiers last out in Colorado. I did not expect him to pitch at that level. It cost me, and he pitched very well. He's coming to really coming to his own this year here in the stretch drive. Buehler and the Dodgers open up at minus 192. They're now minus 210. This total was originally juiced to the under. It's now slightly juiced to the over, so a 10-cent move towards the over. Walker Buehler coming off the IL. So it's a blister on his right index finger. It's placed him on the disabled list twice, and if you saw a picture of it, it looked pretty gross. So it was there was like a hole, a bloody hole on his fingertip, like a straight hole. But he's been out for a while, and you have to think that they were being very safe, keeping him out, and just wanted him to get a start. And they could have waited. I guess they probably I thought they could have waited a couple more days, but maybe they had to give him a start now if they want him on proper rest for those first playoff games. He went 6 strong last out. Fiers looked so good. 7 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 4 Ks in Colorado. 6 appearances against the Dodgers. Good numbers against them. 4-1, 2.00 ERA. Last game on the ball card. A's, Dodgers. Nolly, take it away.
Yeah, on this start here, Walker Buehler has been pretty disappointing that the blister hasn't been able to take control of it. Goes just 2 2/3, and the issue arose against Arizona his last time out. But when he's been healthy, the guy's been lights out. But here it's a tough spot for him. Not really a spot that I'm really gonna trust too much. Really, I don't really expect him to go too deep either. We're gonna have a short leash on him, from what I understand, but a lot of things that Dave Roberts has said have not come true. So a lot of things I'm taking with a grain of salt. Specifically yesterday, when you look at it, the last second they decided to go with an opener and put Urias out of the bullpen to try to get him more used to it, more acclimated, going on the playoff run. But it's something I don't really understand. On the other side, Mike Fiers has looked a little bit better as of late, but still in the month of September, 4.24 ERA, and that's pretty much the type of guy that he is. He goes 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs against San Diego, 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs against Texas, and then was able to shut down Colorado. With a Colorado team that we've talked about that pretty much has packed it in, haven't been able to produce very many runs. Now going against a Dodger team who likes to hit righties, not a whole lot that they're playing for now, but still, they're still out there trying to hit home runs. That's what I see out of most of the at-bats from the Dodgers. And so can't be susceptible here. But here in this spot, laying 200 with a guy in Walker Buehler with all the question marks, to me is a recipe for disaster, not something that you want to be taking. So if anything, you want to take anything in this game, it'd be Oakland or pass for me. But I'm off the game.
Yeah. Buehler looked very good. He's looked good this year, and he got touched up early in the year, but he really felt like he was coming into his own there. And then this happened. The value just feels like it's all on the A's right now. All of it.
Especially especially when you talk about the Dodgers using that bullpen quite a bit the last few days. And if Buehler can't go deep, you're going to be dealing with the bullpen, which is one of the best bullpens in the league, but you can't rely on them time in and time out. So that's my – yeah, I think it's either the Oakland A's or pass.
Well, I think it's the Oakland A's. So I'm going to move on the A's here. Full game. Dodgers with nothing to play for. I agree. Kobe had his best bet on the A's yesterday, and he's back on them today. It's just too much value to pass up. So I'm not going to take the A's first 5, but I will take the A's full game. It's plus 175 right now at Bet365. Thank you for your input, Kobe. There you have it. All 12 MLB games broken down. Nolly Knows. We're going to talk NCAA football quickly right after this and keep you on for that. But could you please review your MLB action?
Yeah, we got 4 plays on the board as of right now. We got Cubs Pirates, first 5 under 5. And then we got the White Sox and the Indians, first 5 under 4. And then I'm joining my guy Jimmy with this one. The Red Sox and the Orioles, first 5 under 5.5. And then we're going to go the Brewers and the Cardinals, first 5 under 4.
I like it. The man making under is great. Again, I've tailed a bunch of Nolly's looks and went on my own for a couple of them. And this is my card coming off a 4-1 day yesterday, 6-1 overall yesterday. Cubs first 5 under 5. Tailing Mr. Gokster on Rockies, Giants to score first. And then nothing for Mets, Nats. First 5 under 4, White Sox, Indians. I have a sneaking suspicion this is not going to be available when I go to bet it. Blue Jays first 5. I like it very much. I would say it's my favorite spot. Marlins, Braves. I don't know if that game goes with the rain, and I understand why the total's been dropping, and I'm off. And then I'm doubling up on this Orioles-Red Sox game. First 5 minus a half for Boston, and first 5 under 5.5 in the total. Then Tigers-Royals. I came close to hitting the button on the Tigers first 5. I'm not going to. Astros, Rangers, I'm off. And then Brewers, Cardinals, first 5 under 4. Again, if that goes to 3.5, I won't be on it. And A's, full game, plus 175. So let's close up MLB with this question from Michael Irvelina. It says, Jimmy, question for you, Nolly. Do you think it's better to have a higher quantity in baseball and lower bet size, or normal bet size and few picks daily? Michael Irvelina, I got the seasons off to a nice start and was so close to making my unit size higher in baseball because it's always been the lowest of the 4 major sports for me. And then I went on just a terrible run. And so right now, all my MLB bets are half unit bets. So they're $100. And I don't succeed at MLB at this point. Ulysses Hayes says fewer picks, larger money. Let's hear what Nolly Knows has to say. Again, the question, do you think it's better to have higher quantity in baseball, lower bet size, or normal bet size and a few picks daily? Oh, you're muted.
Good to go. Good.
Yeah.
Back. Hello.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Typically, I like to go with the fewer bets and a larger bet size. That's typically how I like to run it. My bet size will vary depending on how much of an edge that I do see. So I put a little bit more on some games than others, but it also depends on how I'm seeing the board and what's happening, what's transpiring out there. In the beginning of the season, you've seen a lot of unders, so I was throwing out 4 or 5, even 6 picks a day. And then the middle of the season, the bats started heating up, going to 2 to 3. And then here towards the end of the season, ramping it back up to the 4 or 5 again. Seeing a lot of unders, seeing the board a little bit better. So I try to press a little bit more when I see that. But definitely, you got to try to take into consideration the type of bettor that you are and the type of bankroll that you have. That's how you're gonna try to adjust. And for some people, they want to bet just 1 or 2 games, and everybody has a different style. And to me, I think ultimately you got to find what works for you. You got volume bettors, and then you got these guys that only bet maybe once a week. So ultimately, try to pick and choose what works for you.
Yeah, and I agree with that comment. And Birdie's saying, don't you cap the games if you believe? Don't you cap the games, and if you believe in them, get them regardless of number of plays? Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I don't limit myself. It's just you take what the board gives you. All right, let's move on to college football. And I've made very, very few bets in college football. But something jumped out at me here. We talked briefly about the Blazers-Jaguars game yesterday. Let's finish it off here. It's in Mobile. 76 Fahrenheit, 6 miles per hour is the wind. It's a nice night. UAB versus South Alabama. Let's see what it is here. UAB opening up at -6. There's 6.5s and 7s on the board. Damn. This total was down to 45.5 from the 15.5 opener, and I said to Nolly before the show, I was like, I think it's too low now, and I was going to go over it. And now it's at 46.5. So let's talk about this spot. UAB kicked off 2020 with that 45-35 win over Central Arkansas. It didn't look good, but again, they were up 45-14, and then they brought in the backups, and Central Arkansas put in a few scores, and one of those scores was a fumble recovery early, so it wasn't as bad as it looked. They should have trounced them. So then they play Miami 7 days later, and I was on UAB, and it was like 15 or 16 we got, and they lose by 17, 31-14. And now both teams have had 2 weeks off, complete 2 weeks off, because they've both been playing on Thursdays. So the moving parts here is Tyler Johnston gets hurt, non-throwing shoulder, so he's not playing. And in comes Bryson Lucero to make his first start, and Lucero looks very good. Or no, Lucero looks better than Tyler Johnston. I think that might be a fair argument. And Lucero's had some action already. Like, he's been in games, so it's not like he's not seen the field. Spencer Brown looks strong. 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 40 carries for them. Jermaine Brown Jr. also 88 yards and a touchdown. And it's UAB's defense, 33 points a game, but Central Arkansas did mess that up. So UAB has allowed 5.4 yards per play this season. That's up quite a bit from last year, but maybe that was Miami that did it. So then let's go to the Jaguars. They win outright as huge dogs to Southern Miss. And then they had a 24-6 lead over Tulane. And Tulane came back and won 27-24. And they also are moving to a new starter, Chance Lovertich. He went 18 of 29 for 247 yards and 2 touchdowns against Tulane after Trotter got hurt. Trotter's dealing with a shoulder injury. And they're getting a ton from their wide receivers, Tolbert, Baker, and so Tolbert has been strong and Baker has been strong. They're both, over 100 yards. And Jalen Wayne, 100 yards. So they have 3 wide receivers that are rolling right now. And South Alabama's defense has improved. So I guess what I'm saying is, how did this total go from 50 to 45.5? And I understand the buyback. And what are your plans on making a move here in this game, Nolly?
Yeah, here in this game, like you said, it's been a big move down, and the big thing is the way that these 2 offenses look to go about their offenses is to run the ball. This is a big time game, big in-state rivalry game. We got a lot of guys that are very familiar with each other. Another reason why I expect it to be a big physical game. Here last year, UAB was able to take care of business here in a big rout against them, and now they're starting a new quarterback, and which caused another concern for more running of the ball. UAB's offensive line is their strong point here, which I feel is much stronger than on the other side of South Alabama's defensive front, which they're replacing quite a bit of guys on both sides of their offense and defensive line, and a lot more familiarity on the UAB side. A lot more returners, a lot more experience, and the main thing, a lot of returners on their for their running backs. And that's something that I expect UAB to rely heavily on, and I feel that there's a bit of an advantage here on the front lines. I'm making a move on UAB, but I'm going to take the first half. I expect UAB to come out and pound the rock, and I expect them to have some success here against South Alabama.
I can understand that look. Kanaskat says, will the weather affected? I have nice weather. Does anybody else not have nice weather in Mobile tonight? I have 76 Fahrenheit. 6 miles per hour is the wind. So everybody's on the under. Everybody's on the under, and I don't understand why. And everybody's on the under, and you're not on the under. Do you think I should go against everybody?
And once again, Jay, I agree with the under. I agree with the movement down. When you look at both these teams, they're going to run the ball about 40 times a game. They're going to throw the ball about 20 to 30 times. So the main focal point is going to be the running backs. I understand UAB going with a new quarterback. That's something that you'll see. They don't want to pressure him too much. I mean, you will see that in the NFL more than college. But I like the fact that they're able to run the ball. You look at South Alabama, 2 unders to start the season. But that's the reason that you've seen the adjustment go down, and that's the reason that I'm staying off. They made an adjustment. They made an adjustment down with the total, so that's the reason I'm staying off. And I just think UAB's a better football team, and especially here in this in-state rivalry, I like my chances.
You know, Connor Mack, our NCAA football expert here at Odds, he says yes, go with the over. I should have got it at 45.5, and I said that to you before the show started. So we'll see if that gets me. I don't agree when you're looking at. Oh, and also Lucero, I needed to study him this morning, and I went and looked at a bunch of his tape and I watched a couple interviews of this kid. This kid seems ready for it. I have no concerns about Lucero. I don't know much about Chance Lovertich, but I think Lucero is going to come in and roll. So I'm going to take the over 46.5. Over 46.5 will be an official NCAA football move for me, going up against everybody. All right, there you have it. Nolly, thank you for sticking around and capping NCAA football. Nolly Knows now on our show Wednesday and Thursday. And Nolly, I guess I should. Are you making any moves in the big Game 4 Nuggets Lakers?
No, I'm a big Laker fan. You know, you see the big Shaq Diesel over here in the background. A big Laker fan here, but NBA's always seem to take from my pocket, so I'm done giving to that league.
I hear you. I hear you. It's been good to us, but you have to really, really enjoy capping it, and we see you how much you enjoy capping baseball, and when you have that joy capping a sport, that's when success follows. Spectacular work, Nolly. Thank you so much for joining us. Love having you on twice a week now. Have a great Thursday, and let's have another big winning day like yesterday.
Yeah, let's hope so, man. Thank you for having me, Jimmy. I really appreciate it, and thanks a lot, guys, for the chat, taking the time to listen to us.
There he is, our guy, Nolly Knows. Follow him on Twitter at Nolly562. Okay, let's move on to Lakers Nuggets, the marquee game of the evening here, and let's beat this up. The first quarter under was a real strong move yesterday, and we had the real reasons why we were making the bet, and it cashed beautifully. Let's see if we can follow this up with Lakers Nuggets, and what a series this has become. Lakers opening up at -6. There are a couple 6.5s on the board now, but most books still at 6. This total has gone from 215 down to 214.5. There are a couple books that have moved it to 214, and a couple books that have moved it back to 215. So West Finals, Game 4, Lakers up 2-1. If you believe, like some do, that NBA is scripted, well, then the Lakers will win Game 4, and the Nuggets will be down 3-1 and for the third time and see if they can come back. But just because the Lakers win doesn't mean they cover the 6. Let's talk about pace. 8 seeding games. Lakers ran at 101.88 possessions a game. Nuggets, 97.50 possessions a game. Nuggets were the second slowest team in the 8 seeding games pace play. The only slower team was the Utah Jazz. The playoffs, Lakers went down a little bit, and the Nuggets went down about 3 possessions a game. So Lakers went down to 99.27 possessions a game, Nuggets to 94.86. Now the series, the Nuggets pace of play has gone up. They're at 97.67 possessions a game. Okay, let's talk and see what the chat is doing and then break this game down further. Sharp Money says, I got the 6.5 on Denver all day. Penny Bombs says +6 Denver and money line and the under. Jojo Rich, I'm on 7-point Nuggets and the under. Almax says Denver is 12-5 to the first half over. Lakers are 8-5. Take the first half over. Lakers are going to look to push the pace early. I agree with that take very much. Dutch Boy Fresh on Lakers first half -3.5. So what upset me about last night's game, even though we won it comfortably, was that we weren't on the Heat first quarter because we understood exactly what the Heat were trying to stop. It's a little different here, and that was these double-digit deficits that the Celtics had given them in the first 3 games of the series. It's a little different here because the Nuggets aren't getting out to early leads. So let's talk about these Nuggets. They lost Game 4 in each of their first 2 series against Utah and the Clippers. Then they made those giant comebacks. The Lakers, in their first 2 series, they only lost Game 1. Then they just took over. In Game 4 against Portland and Houston, the Lakers completely dominated. But that was a much different series because they just looked rusty in Game 1, and then they completely took over. Losing Game 3 was a signal from the underdog that we are going to be an extremely tough out, and we are a better team than the Blazers and the Rockets, which they are. Tori Coker says Lakers first half will play defensive early. And D Nice saying, come on, Jimmy, you could have got more rebounds than Anthony Davis last game. It's wild. And Almax says, bet Davis over rebounds, considering he got 0. He did get a couple, right? Didn't he end up with 3? And then he got some late. Okay. All right. So we've broken that down. Now, when we took the first quarter under yesterday, we were taking quotes from Jimmy Butler. And here, let's take a quote from LeBron. He says, they played better than us. And who cares about that? But then he says, more aggressive than us through 3 quarters. And that is when you're reading a book and there's certain parts of the book that you want to use later and you want to remember, you underline things. This is something you would underline when capping this game. More aggressive than us through 3 quarters. Both teams are turning the ball over like crazy. Nuggets, 17.7 turnovers through 3. Lakers, 16.7. Jamal Murray and Jokic are stepping up points production-wise to AD and LeBron James. So it's almost to the point where if whatever team has that third option step up will win. And that's simplifying it too much. And again, we're going to predict who's going to be the third option that steps up. But we saw that in Game 3, and it was Jeremy Grant. 26 points. Nuggets win easily because Davis 95 points, James 71 through 3. Look at Jamal Murray and Jokic 74 and 73. So it was that third piece of the puzzle that pushed them over. So after breaking this all down, the Lakers are going to come out aggressive, and the Lakers are going to want to take care of business. The problem is the Lakers' first quarter is -2.5, whereas that first half is -3.5. Now, if the Lakers come out very aggressive, I'm not entirely sure what Mike Malone and the Nuggets do to counteract that. And it's not necessarily them speeding up the pace. What they could do is give the ball to Jamal Murray and have him slow down the pace and try to isolate, create ISOs. And that's what's keeping me off early overs. And in fact, it's sort of keeping me off the full game over, even though it's just not knowing what Denver's going to do to counteract that. So team totals would be more attractive to me, which would, take a first half team total or first quarter team total. And even that, I'm going to need to see exactly what I'm getting. And let's see if I can pull some up right now. So for Lakers team totals in the first quarter, it's expensive. If I go to alternate team totals, I mean, the Lakers first quarter team totals at 28.5, and it's heavily juiced to the over. And I don't want to sit here with a heavy juiced team total. Larry Turd says Lakers seem like the obvious play, but we know how that goes. D Nice says Lakers money line and over. MHP says hard to predict this game. Just going to enjoy this game. Al Max says fade Lakers fourth quarter. Lakers are 3-10 against spread in the fourth quarter, while Nuggets are 11-5-1 against spread in the fourth quarter. If the Lakers plan to come out aggressive, they might have nothing left in the tank in the fourth quarter. So I want to have more than one bet on these games, and that's just me, wanting action. I was sort of in a bit of a losing pattern there, and our NBA numbers are fine overall. I mean, we're 164 and 143. We're up 8.42 units. Our ROI is plus 2.74%. We're hitting 53.4% on the year. I'm only going to make one bet here. And it's a minus 2.5. It's minus 2.5 for a reason. And I could understand why the minus 3.5 first half looks better to you guys. But I'm going to take LeBron coming out and getting a lead and being aggressive. And I wasn't entirely sure exactly how I was going to bet this. But after breaking it down and talking to you guys, I'm making one bet. And that is Lakers minus 2.5 first quarter. Now, I'd be curious to see what I could do if I was able to mess with the alternate point spread. I can't really. The minus a half is minus 175. They're not giving me 1.5, which is smart of them. All right. I'm going to take Lakers first quarter. First quarter, minus 2.5, minus 105. All right. Michael Irvelina says, taking Lakers first quarter and first half, I think they're up by 12 or more. I don't dislike it. And Tori Coker says, take Nuggets team total under. Lakers will play defense. I thought long and hard about that. And that was actually what I was staring at right here. Was the team total. Because I was looking at that Lakers 110.5. I was like, it's a little high. Nuggets at 104.5. Absolutely, Chris L. So I could definitely understand taking the Nuggets team total under. But the Nuggets dig deep late. And Jokic and Murray go to town. And Ulysses Hayes says, Braun will have a hell of a night. Let's take a look at the player props here for Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. We'll start with LeBron. His point total is at 27.5. 27.5. Points, rebounds, and assists for LeBron is 45.5. Now, his 27.5 points and 45.5 points, rebounds, assists are both juiced to the under. Both juiced to the under. Jamal Murray at 25.5 points. Jokic at 23.5. That's juiced to the under. Pretty big. Rebounds. AD, 9.5. 9.5 boards. LeBron, 8.5. And Jokic, 9.5. Heavily juiced to the over for Jokic. Talk Sports with JT says Lakers will play big. Nathan Cerna giving us a final score of Lakers 110-108. And Dylan Turner parlaying Lakers minus 1.5 and the over 206.5 for plus 105. ZZ Topics and LeBron assists are being cashing. And Smith Legacy says LeBron and AD can get theirs, and Lakers could still lose. LeBron assist over has been catching, yeah. Okay, one look for me. Lakers early. Lakers minus 2.5 and minus 105. And throughout the last 3 years, I've made a rule of not taking the first quarters over 2. But this feels like it's a spot. Brian Warner says, had Nuggets series against Jazz, went down 2 games. Then Nuggets series against Clips, mad money. I'm riding the momentum with these guys. I get it. And Chris L going on the under AD rebounds, 9.5. All right, one look for me. Lakers first quarter minus 2.5. Lakers early. Lakers come out aggressive, but still not going to take that team total over because aggressive can also be used on defense. Tori Coker says if it's a blowout, Nuggets will pull their guys for game 5. They will not get over 101 points. The Czar says, agree, Jimmy, take first half minus 3.5, let them breathe a bit. I want – right now, I'm liking the Nuggets bench better than the Lakers bench. And I'd rather focus on LeBron and AD in the first 8 or 9 minutes of the game. Schnizzle says starters will finish out second quarter, more bench in first quarter. There's a reason why the first quarter is at minus 2.5. The first half's at minus 3.5. And look, I like your guys' first half minus 3.5. I like it. Tori Coker says Nuggets will not get past 101 points. Watch. To finish the quarters, I hear you, Schnizzle. I hear you. The only thing I would do is I would add that first half minus 3.5. Dylan Turner says you think the race to 20 would be better than the spread. I don't, because I think that the race to 20 is going to be, just juiced too much. And it's minus 180. I'm not going to sit here with Lakers minus 180. And Nick says, Boston Nick says, I think Nuggets take it serious. All right, there you go. One look for me. Lakers first quarter minus 2.5 and minus 105. And I can completely understand those of you on the Lakers first half minus 3.5. But I'm only taking the first quarter. Dylan Turner says, in theory, Lakers should be up 5 or more in the first quarter. All righty. There you go. Lakers minus 2.5. Let's move on to Thursday night football. And I'm excited to talk about this game. I'm really excited to talk about this game. Let's get over there right now. The issue with this game is that so many great cappers love the Dolphins here. And they're letting go of this home team or no team. And they're not backing these Jaguars. And it feels like it's the squarest play you could imagine taking the Jags because of so many sharp cappers on the Dolphins. But I can't take the Jags. I can't take the Dolphins. I can't back the Dolphins on the road after they've been decimated in their secondary. They lose Byron Jones to a groin injury in that 31-28 loss at home to the Bills. We've seen Josh Allen look spectacular so far, but look at who he's played against. He put 400-plus yards up against his secondary, especially after Byron Jones got hurt. So there's no Byron Jones. We're not sure, but I'm expecting no Byron Jones. And then Xavier Howard. So there's 2 cornerbacks that are questionable or unlikely. Then Fedelum, their safety. And then you have 2 linebackers in Elandon Roberts and Shaq Lawson. And then Devontae Parker. And they have all these injuries, and yet there's a ton of people on the Dolphins. And I locked in the Jaguars minus 3 at plus 100. Maybe this is many, Steve. Frankie Cheeks had many groin injuries. Maybe this is very square or simple or whatever you want to call it. C-Max says, if I get under 3, I'm on the Jags. I want Minshew slinging the rock. Tori Coker says, I'm on Miami Dolphins money line as the Jags are getting lucky. Miami will win outright. There's Cody AV in the house. Great to see you. Breach says primetime fits magic time. Look, Minshew. Let's keep breaking down numbers here. We'll keep going with the fish here. Breda and Howard are brought in to help the ground game. They've combined for 70 yards on 25 carries. Not only that, and I know Gaskin's being their leading rusher, but they're not getting yards even against past defenses. All right? So the Bills put up 524 total yards against them. Minshew. Okay, well, let's finish with Fitzpatrick. He's won his past 4 starts against Jacksonville. I don't care. The Jaguars outgained Tennessee 480 to 354. Tennessee's defense. Why wouldn't they be able to do the exact same thing but worse to the Dolphins' defense? Talk Sports with JT says both teams secondary give up crazy passing yards. I see an over. Alexei Popovich says Minshew going to chew up them Jags, giving us final score 56-14. So there are some questionable players. DJ Clark, tight end Tyler Davis, Brandon Luter, their center, and quarterback Brandon Watson. But if Minshew goes for 339 yards and 3 TDs against the Titans, what's he going to do at home on a Thursday night against the Dolphins? Dean Eden says Tennessee was playing with a high school defense last week. Couldn't tackle, couldn't cover a pylon. I wouldn't put too much into Minshew personally. Rob Stevenson on Minshew over 300 passing yards. So on Tuesday night, on our Tuesday night show, I locked in Jaguars -3 at +100. And we are hearing from everybody about backing the Dolphins, and I would not do that. Now, I'm 7-5 on the season in spreads and totals, 0-2 in player props, and there's been a lot of talk about backing Minshew here against this beat-up secondary. Let's take a look and see what we are dealing with. Total pass yards. Oh, let's go to the player props. Sorry. That's total passing yards as a team. All right, player props. Player passing yards, Minshew at 267.5. 267.5. Nilo says Fitz fizzles. Only Hunter is on Clark +100 for anytime touchdown +600. Birdie says, and that the Jags will not be throwing the ball. There will be a lot of dink and dunk. On the Jag side, you have to be careful capping their offense based on what you have seen them as big dogs. Robert Kahn says both pass defenses suck. And Spenny, I don't know if I would touch Devontae Parker. Is questionable, plays hurt. Oh, yeah, Prince of the City, I'm done. I'm on Jaguars -3 +100. I could understand people backing Minshew here. On the pass yards, 267.5. But I'm 0-2. Flipper saying that Clark is likely out. DJ Clark likely out. West Coast taking Minshew over. Fits tragic. A. Hilly on Keelan Cole. Player props. Spenny Penny Bombs on Jaceki at +167. And Robert Cherry says, how about total yards prop? Minshew sitting at 267.5. Yeah, I mean, I like it. Chris out looking at there's LaVisca prop for touchdown scores. And no, I don't have one. Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, what am I talking about? Yeah, so anytime touchdown for LaVisca is +175. Went over a little fast. 1,200 for first or last, +1,200 for first last. The Czar says, is Tua available? Maybe he saves tonight. I wonder if this over 267.5 against this Dolphins secondary is a look. God. Tori Coker says, think about what you said about Minshew did to Tennessee defense and the Jags only favored by 3. Fishy to me, Dolphins. No, it's not fishy to me at all. I mean, if we look at what the expectation for the Bills are, the Dolphins, and I had Dolphins week 1, and they should have covered against the Patriots. So I don't see this as a fishy line. Dolphins lose by 3 to the Bills. Chris L says, if Clark's out, I'm all over the Laviska prop. Oh, Shane. Hate hearing that. I want to take this Minshew prop, but I'm 0-2 on props. 0-2 on props. And then my only concern is what if, God, 400, he threw for 339. So he had a monster day with 30 points, and he only goes for 339. I'm not going to take the Minshew prop. I'm just going to take Jaguars -3 at plus 100. That's my only look on Thursday Night Football. I can't wait to watch it. Kobe Valentine said road dogs on Thursday Night Football after a loss are 5-30 straight up. And Flipper endorsing the Laviska prop. I wonder if I should thank you, Birdie. Says, I hope I'm wrong, go Jags. Birdie, a Jags fan, staying off the game, but would be taking the Dolphins. There's my man Intex in the house. Rob Stevenson says Minshew likes to pass. All right, well, let's just take a quick look here at Minshew game 1. So he goes for 339 and 3 TDs against the Titans. Just take a look at what he did game 1 here very quickly. Minshew, he went for 173 at home against the Titans. Against the Colts. Colts are a good defensive team. And I guess they were trying to run the clock down. I'm not going to take the prop. I'm not going to take the prop at 267. I'm just going to take D-Jags -3 at plus 100. Predictions guy says, I endorse your mustache, Jimmy. There's Mally Mal. Mally Mal, we miss you. All righty. There is 4 sports broken down in their entirety. Let's talk about our official action. Cubs, Pirates, first 5 under 5. The game goes off shortly. Giants to score first. That's a Gokster tail. I'm off Mets, Nats. First 5 under 4 in White Sox, Indians. Blue Jays, first 5. That's the look I like the best on today's card. Oh, I should say that's my favorite baseball look on today's card. Then I'm doubling up on the Orioles Red Sox game. I'm first 5 -0.5 on the Red Sox and first 5 under 5.5 on the Red Sox. And then my last play on the card is Brewers Cardinals first 5 under 4 and the Oakland A's plus 175. Then in NBA, Lakers first quarter -2.5 -105. Jaguars -3 at plus 100. And then in Blazers, Jaguars, NCAA football, I'm over 46.5. Alejandro Chavez says the over 48 total for the Jags game seems like a gimme. The issue there, and I'm not saying it's not the right look, the issue is, and it's up to 49 now, it opened at 45, and I'm not going to take a line that I could have got a 4-point better look on. All righty. We went 6-1 yesterday, plus 4.86 units. I need more. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Big shout out to Nolly Knows, who's now on our show Wednesdays and Thursdays. Thank you for joining us, Nolly. But Mally Mal, Alejandro Chavez, Flipper 13, Mr. Gokster, West Coast, Smith Legacy. And Smith Legacy saying these teams will have to pass and move the ball. Average at best running games. Jags running back is sneaky good, though. Predictions guy, Tori Coker, Spenny Penny Bombs, The Czar, Rob Stevenson, Intex, Birdie, Nilo, Kobe Valentine, Chris L, MHP, Nathan Cerna, Sage Lawrence, Robert Cherry,
Love you guys. Prince of the City. Thank you guys for your support. Let's have a giant week. Let's keep the winners rolling in. I will see you guys tomorrow. And we started off big this week, and I think it's going to continue. Leche, hey, those bookmakers!